Good afternoon, Tobago, and good afternoon to the listening viewers and those who are viewing on the World Wide Web. I am Councillor Petal Ann Roberts, Secretary with responsibility for finance, trade and the economy, and it is truly a pleasure. And I welcome the opportunity to host this press conference to discuss Budget 2027. It has been quite some time since I've had a conversation with the public on the fiscal and financial position of Tobago. So this afternoon, what I'll go through first is budget preparation for fiscal 2027 and where we are at, and an official announcement of the budget date and the budget debate. So the budgetary process entails that a call circular is sent to the divisions giving guidance on how the budget should be prepared. We did that in February, and we are at the point now where we have just closed off our external consultations. We did have consultations with both the internal stakeholders and our external stakeholders. We started consultations on April 20th, and on the 2nd of June, we completed our final consultation, which was held with the faith-based organizations. So we have since consulted with 8 groups, and these consultations will form part of the policy directive going forward for fiscal 2027. The budget will be anchored on the Tobago's blueprint, which is the official medium-term policy framework used to guide Tobago for fiscal 2027 to 2030. It's actually a 4-year plan that emanated from the strategic development planning pathway. And the blueprint is aligned with a broader vision of creating a resilient, self-sustaining, innovation-driven economy that delivers opportunities and prosperity for all Tobagonians. And the blueprint is aptly themed Pathway for Prosperity, Blueprint for Tobago 2026 to 2030. And as I did indicate, this is the official medium-term platform on which the budget will be based, and it establishes a 20-year development roadmap to unlock the island's full economic potential and build on an innovation-driven society. Rather than relying on traditional, purely economic factors, the blueprint produces a human-centered development philosophy and balances social progress with cultural preservation, economic diversification, and environmental integrity. The blueprint is a 4-year plan. Therefore, next year, we will also adopt the strategic selectivity modality as well, and the principles of strategic selectivity. And we have used strategic selectivity for the past 2 or 3 years. It did prove to be very successful in the rollout of our priority projects, so we will be utilizing strategic selectivity in moving forward for fiscal 2027. And in using strategic selectivity, we will be prioritizing our initiatives based on economic activity or stimulating economic activity, creating sustainable employment, attracting investment, improving competitiveness, strengthening food security, enhancing productivity, delivering long-term returns for Tobagonians. And there's a very important aspect that we want to look at in this fiscal, and it's social inclusion. So as I said, we have completed the consultation process, and we have taken note of both our internal and external stakeholders. We did also have an online platform, and we have taken consideration of all of the 110 submissions from the online platform as part of our budgeting process. So we are at the point now where we are reviewing the draft estimates of expenditure from the divisions, and I want to let the public know that we must expand the Tobago House of Assembly due to the model of the blueprint and the principles entailed in the blueprint. And the blueprint has encompassed self-governance and Tobago becoming a self-determined island. And in order to build that pathway to prosperity, we had to design the institutional framework of the Tobago House of Assembly to include self-governance going forward, especially within the next 4 years. So I want to inform the people of Tobago that although we have had about 4 new divisions being formed after the elections of January 12, 2026, the draft estimates of expenditure will now include very new divisions. We currently have those divisions subsumed in existing divisions. So the budgetary framework will now encompass expenditure relating to the Division of Legal Affairs, the Division of Strategic Planning and Development, the Division of Youth Empowerment and Sport, and the Division of Environment, Climate Resilience and Energy. And I just want to give the public a little insight into these new divisions. The Division of Legal Affairs serves as the constitutional, legislative, and legal backbone of the Tobago House of Assembly by shaping and safeguarding a just, transparent, and accountable governance framework. The division leads the Assembly's legislative agenda, translating the aspirations of the people of Tobago into clear, effective, and enforceable laws aligned with the national legal order. We also have a new division, the Division of Strategic Planning and Development, which will also form part of the draft estimates, and it is the government's or the T.H.A.'s leading authority for long-term development planning, policy planning, spatial planning, and strategic coherence. It formulates an island-wide spatial land use and sector development frameworks that translate Tobago's vision into clear developmental directions and ensures the public investment proposals and sector plans are conceptually aligned with sustainable, inclusive, and with our livable communities. The third division that would form part of the draft estimates includes the Division of Youth Empowerment and Sport, and the with an acronym YES, is responsible for leveraging youth development, sport, and outdoor recreation as drivers of inclusive opportunity, social cohesion, and national pride in Tobago. It expands access to sport and recreation, develops structured pathways for participation and excellence, and unlocks the economic potential of sport and related activities to support sustainable development. And finally, the Division of Environment, Climate Resilience, and Energy. And this division is responsible for protecting Tobago's natural heritage while strengthening the island's capacity to adapt to climate change and transition to sustainable energy systems. It leads environmental conservation and regulation, coastal and marine management, disaster risk reduction, and climate adaptation. It also promotes, this division will promote also renewable energy, energy efficiency, and green technologies, integrating resilience and sustainability into public policy and development projects to safeguard livelihoods, ecosystems, and future generations. So I just want to let the public know that these are new divisions we will see in addition to our existing divisions, starting with the Assembly Legislature. The Office of the Chief Secretary continues, the Division of Finance, Trade and the Economy, Food Security, Tourism and the Creative Industries, Community Development and Social Protection, Public Infrastructure and Transportation. We also have the Division of Education, the Division of Health and Wellness, and the Division of Settlements. So in addition to the existing divisions, we do have a build-out of divisions to cater for other core mandates. In addition to those areas, there will be some policy focus areas that the budget will be concentrating on. Whilst I name these focus areas, it does not mean that the other areas are neglected, but we do feel that these are areas that requires a policy focus and additional resources to realize very significant impact in Tobago. And these include, there are seven policy areas that we'll be concentrating on: sustainable tourism, food security and food sovereignty, digital transformation and innovation through the improvement and implementation of digital infrastructure across the island of Tobago. We're going to focus on building advanced institutional capabilities across the public sector, and that would include the systems, the people, the technology, the processes, the governance structure, and all the resources necessary to effectively deliver services. Another one of the policy areas of focus in 2027 would be climate resilience, climate adaptation, and environmental sustainability. So it means that in every project, in all that we do, we will take into consideration how we protect and take into consideration what is happening in the climate and adapting to those changes. Another focus area is the improvement in public infrastructure, and this would include housing or road infrastructure or drains, all our public infrastructure. It would also include transportation and coastal protection. Another one of the key focus areas is social inclusion, with a deep focus on the differently abled and supporting persons with disabilities and vulnerable groups. And by social inclusion, it means that we will be removing all the barriers that prevent persons or individuals or any group from accessing opportunities, services, resources, and decision-making processes that are available to others in the society. So these are some of the core focus areas that we will concentrate on in fiscal 2027. And as I did indicate before, it will be an output-based, result-driven budget, one focusing on completing what we have started in fiscal 2026 and even before that. And this is the first installation of the rollout of the Tobago Blueprint, which, as I said, is the official medium-term framework for Tobago's development. So in addition to the budget, and before I announce the budget date, I would like to bring to the attention of the people of Tobago the current financial position of the Tobago House of Assembly, giving you some updates in terms of the releases from central government, the releases that we have utilized, as well as the expenditure so far. So if you would recall, the parliamentary appropriation to the Tobago House of Assembly was 2.742 billion. The development program, 201.5 million. Under the CPET program, the allocation is 9.2 million, and under unemployment relief program, 18 million. We have since transferred to the development program because of the underfunding. It's only $201.5 million. We have since transferred $164.473 million from recurrent expenditure to supplement the development program. It therefore means available resources under recurrent expenditure is 2.577 billion, and now under development program, we have made available $365.973 million. Releases from central government. We have received all the releases for up to the third quarter of fiscal 2026. And so far, we have received 1,784,802,350, which represents 70% of our allocation. And under the development program, we have since received from the central government 134,333,334. 134,333,334, and this represents 67% of the entire parliamentary appropriation. The releases that were issued to the divisions amounted to, under recurrent expenditure, $1,622,805,076. Under the development program, we have since issued or released to our divisions 186,525. The expenditure as of May 2026, under recurrent expenditure, $1,509,803,413. Under the development program expenditure, it is estimated, because we have not yet completed the exercise for the development program expenditure, the expenditure is estimated at $130 million. Under the unspent balances, we have since released and expended $101 million, and it is disaggregated as follows: $35 million for the payment of contractors owed in 2021 coming forward to 2025. Under CPEP, we have since released and spent $10 million in addition to the $9.2 million. Under URP, we have since released and spent $36 million in addition to the $18 million released from central government. Road paving, under unspent balances, we spent so far $20 million, bringing our expenditure under unspent to a total of $101 million. And with that being said, I want to let the public also know that this administration's significant impact of the expenditure actually began in February due to the elections that was held in January. Because work was suspended, we did not go on an expenditure drive prior to the election. So a significant portion of our expenditure emanates from February to May 2026. And with that being said, I will now announce to you the date that the budget for Tobago fiscal 2027, it will be held on Monday, June 22nd at 10 a.m. and the budget debate will be held on Thursday, June 25th at 10 a.m. And that is the update to the public on this media briefing. And I will now welcome any questions from the media. Any questions? Stefan Nicholas?
Hi, good afternoon. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Yes. You said that there would be the recurrent expenditure. You're pulling, I think, 164 million from recurrent expenditure towards the development. Do you anticipate any setbacks, any difficulties in terms of managing your expenses because of that decision?
Well, it always entails managing the expenditure because of the decision. What we have to do usually, we constrain the expenditure. It means that we either have to shelve or we have to look at ways of curtailing recurrent expenditure and looking at the discretionary areas. And those are some of the areas that we looked at. So for instance, we have looked at things like office stationery and supplies. We have looked at curtailing unofficial overseas travel in some instances. We have curtailed in some instances on minor equipment purchases. There are the discretionary areas that we have outlined, and those are the areas where the cuts actually came from to supplement the development program expenditure. Liz Williams. So I'm seeing Liz Williams and Stefan, I'm not hearing you just yet. I'm not sure if you are muted.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Madam
I'm hearing you
Secretary.
now.
I don't know
Hi,
if you're
I'm
hearing
afternoon.
me.
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Yes. Right. What I wanted to know from you, and I mentioned it before, with respect to meeting with the finance minister before. Did you meet with him before with respect to Tobago's allocation? And how confident are you that Tobago will get the requested amount that you have?
Yes, I did meet with the minister. I just can't remember the date. I think it was in May, early May, we did meet, and we did have an agenda of items. The budget 2027 did come up. I could not give him a figure just yet because, as I said, we are at the point where we are now reviewing and consolidating the submissions from the divisions. I did have a global figure based on the trend of expenditure and the expansions in the T.H.A. under both recurrent and development program. And the minister, he did indicate his concerns as well in terms of what's happening in the economy. I would not want to disclose any of those figures just yet because we are still collating our figures. And as you know, the budget is based on revenues, both energy revenues and otherwise in Trinidad. And those, he has not yet calculated those figures, and I'm sure you can understand why. So yes, we did have a conversation. I'll also tell you what we had a conversation on. We had a conversation on budget 2027, and I did discuss with him the expansion of the Tobago House of Assembly in preparation for constitutional autonomy, and rolling out the blueprint, which is Tobago's 4-year plan, as well as the 20-year strategic development planning pathway. We discussed that. We discussed the mid-year review, what we were asking for, and I can tell you what we did ask for. We asked for the arrears for teachers in the amount of $74 million. That's the teachers got their increases. I did ask for both arrears as well as the increase in the salaries, because when we did the draft estimates of expenditure, it was actually hinged on specific figures relating to the old salaries. So we both needed the arrears to pay to the teachers as well as the increase in the salaries of the teachers. The reconstruction of Scarborough Secondary School continues to be a key and a priority project for us. That was for a very lengthy discussion on how much we can actually spend after the mid-year supplementation of appropriation. So we do expect to get some funding with regard to Scarborough Secondary School. And we also discussed the operationalization of the new terminal for the T.H.A. International Airport. So those were the conversations with the minister. I just hope that I don't miss anything. I just want to pull the document. Right, so Scarborough Secondary School, the arrears and the increases for teachers, and the cost for the operationalization of the new terminal of the T.H.A. International Airport. Apart from that, we also discussed technical and financial assistance from multilateral agencies. We do seek from time to time support from the IDB. The World Bank now has an office domiciled in Trinidad, a sub-office in Trinidad, and we would want to leverage and capitalize on opportunities from the World Bank. So we did look at accessing those readily for the people of Tobago. And in that conversation, he did note that there are facilities that the private sector, especially in the construction sector, can leverage on and lessen the reliance on the Tobago House of Assembly for funding to do major infrastructure projects. So going forward, we're going to engage the World Bank, IDB Invest, look at how the Caribbean Development Bank can also assist us in terms of design, conceptualization for projects like Scarborough Sec or any other major project. And finally, we discussed the IFMIS project, which is actually being rolled out in Trinidad, and it's under my purview and the Division of Finance. And I wanted to just have some final decisions on how IFMIS would be rolled out in Tobago. So those were some of the things that were discussed, or some of the matters that were discussed with the Minister of Finance in May. Stefan Nicholas.
Yes, you mentioned a few areas for the curtailment. Just wanted to be clear, no job losses are being considered.
No, absolutely. It actually doesn't make sense to cut from any of the expenditure items relating to employment, because employment is one of the critical areas for us. So no job losses, no cuts under both salaries and COLA, wages and COLA, contract employment, short-term employment, no cuts under these line items. We look at the more discretionary areas where we can actually make the decision to cut and say we can actually survive without these goods and services. Liz Williams. Liz, I see your hand is up. I'm not sure if it's from your previous question or, because if you are speaking, you are muted.
Right.
I'm hearing you now.
Again, good afternoon.
Yes.
I don't know if you could, it's not really a question, but just for something for you, Madam Secretary, to look into for me with respect to one worker or workers, attached to the Division of Education. They are telling us with respect to the Education Multicultural Unit. What they are saying is that for years, they have been waiting sometimes for 6 to 8 months to be paid. I don't know if you could look into the matter. They said that they brought it to the attention previously of the Tobago House of Assembly in terms of the former Education Secretary. And up to now, they have not gotten the matter addressed at this time. So I don't know if you can look into this in terms of the Division of Education, the Multicultural Unit. If you can look at that for me.
I definitely will look into it, and I will give you some feedback as well, Ms. Williams. So at this juncture, I would like to thank the people of Tobago for the opportunity to discuss with you what is happening in terms of the financial position of the Tobago House of Assembly, and also to announce to you that Budget 2027 we are on, and we are actually in process of preparing for Budget 2027 on June 22nd. It will be presented to the people of Tobago. Thank you very much.